Simon and the Tyson necros, but what makes your necros different?
Who's gonna fix it? Like, here, wait. Let me just make it so it's like barely.
Okay, so my Necronomicon is nothing like Lovecraft or Simon's Necronomicon. Too often people with this concept of Necronomicons, they like to apply what they've heard from Lovecraft to Simon's, and then get disappointed with Simon's, and then apply what they know of Simon's to this, and then, you know, who goes from there. It is by far more complete. Whatever, I don't know where the manuscript is that Simon actually got, you know, for his version of the Necronomicon. What I do know is that it alluded to some tablets and some literature that was researchable, that was in existence, and whether or not you want to attach this title Necronomicon to it, what have you, a lot has happened in 31 years. It's been 31 years since that book has come out. They released their hardcover 31st anniversary edition recently. It's been 31 years. So a lot has happened in the Middle East in the last 3 decades. We've uncovered a lot more. We've had a lot more activity there. So, I mean, clearly, this is a lot more complete. You know, people have always argued about the incompleteness of stuff in the past. This goes after the tablets and works with them to make them more complete. It also is not trying to interpret it through, let us say, Judeo-Christian eyes. It isn't trying to interpret it through old filters, old systems of information. It's a brand new translation for a new age, and it makes it accessible to people. I mean, it's a change in consciousness. I mean, let's be frank. Any book called Necronomicon is like a change in consciousness. When Lovecraft was writing his stuff, I don't care if he was dreaming it, pulling it from the astral, out of his craft, it doesn't matter. When Lovecraft was coming out with his stuff, it was taboo. That's what made it so dark. I mean, it's not well known for its writing. I can say, I mean, the stuff, it reads like newspaper articles, but it questioned people's reality. It made them confront their own beliefs and the structure of reality and what we've been told about gods and religion and our ancient histories. So what this has done is just progress that even more. I mean, again, in the 70s when Simon did his work, it turned into this whole thing with, I mean, what other access do people have to that Sumerian, Babylonian, you know, Egyptian concept other than that? I mean, people may have used the word Ishtar or Inanna before, or even have heard of Marduk, but no one had ever really had anything concrete to look at. And here was this Necronomicon that was talking about, you know, the Sumerian and Babylonian ideas. And that's what's the funny thing is most of people's, you know, arguments about Simon's work is about it under a Sumerian context, and it's not even a Sumerian grimoire. It's actually Babylonian and perhaps even partially Egyptian if we talk about where the tradition was carried after the fall of the Tower of Babel. So, you know, this idea that, you know, it doesn't verbatim go with the Sumerian tradition, well, of course not, because it doesn't emphasize Anu and Enlil as supreme. It emphasizes Enki and Merodach. Anu becomes this distant figure that really has very little to do with the material world of what's going on down here. Enlil becomes recognized as the one who basically, not only did he not want us to be created in the first place, but he didn't want to save us during the deluge. So, I mean, this guy isn't really looked at too favorably by the up-and-coming tradition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it illustrates things far and beyond what these other works have done. But it doesn't contradict them, it doesn't try to reiterate them, it may very well complement them, but people really got to get off this hang-up about things called Necronomicon or whether it's dangerous or a hoax or whatnot. They're never going to see anything beyond those blinders, because we could have called it anything. We could have called our tradition the authentic recreation based on cuneiform tablets of, you know, a translated religious spirituality of the 3rd millennium BC. Nobody would have bought it.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to read that stuff. But, you know, how many people were exposed to this mythology via something called the Necronomicon, which, I mean, is passed between teenagers, goths, musicians, upper-class Masons. It's huge. So, yeah, it's definitely something to be beheld.
Is there a place where people who buy the book can get together?
Actually, there is. We have what we call the Mardukite Chamberlains network, which basically it's kind of like a private MySpace. It's private because we basically just don't want anyone who's coming in and causing a whole ruckus and whatnot. But Yeah, it's actually mardukite.ning.com. It is by invitation only, so what you want to do is send the request to bondheavenearth, one word, @gmail.com, and we can get you signed up with an account for that. I know that the Mardukite Chamberlains network is an exceptional tool. I mean, it allows members to get an inside kind of track on forthcoming news, what's going on, events that we're having, any changes taking place. We actually do live chat sessions. We have chat among members. We have chat when I'm available. We have multiple groups depending on people's kind of level of study. We have different groups that they can join, discussion groups where they can assist each other and assist themselves in learning the process of various studies, because this is not your traditional New Age puffball way of understanding the great mysteries, and it's respected for that reason. It also, we have our own little version of YouTube there, where we put critical videos and news and whatnot. So it's very exciting. It's definitely something worth checking out as a resource for people up and coming or trying to kind of understand this. Really, it's not really a new concept. It's a new old concept. It's about going back to the beginning. I mean, whether it be Norse or Celtic or even if you want to come into the Americas or even expand farther into the Eastern and Asian and Persian, this is the source of where it all began. This is where it all started. This is where it was based upon. Zoroastrianism, Mithraic, the Egyptian tradition was Merodach, once he left Babylon, was driven out of Addnalite territories with the fall of the Tower of Babel. So it all connects together, and this is the place to start. And it just would seem that we would call ours the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon archetypally is this, in the backwaters of human consciousness, the book that is to forsake all other books, the knowledge that is to forsake all other knowledge. And what more countercultural ideal would there be but the Necronomicon we present, which is the most ancient writings on the planet, which just so happen that we need to reinterpret and reevaluate every single thing that we have learned since then. I mean, in terms of history, in terms of politics, in terms of religion, in terms of divinity, who have these gods been that we've been serving this whole time, and why has it been out of fear? A god that never seems to make an appearance, yet we have been programmed to fear it, and just all these different things that interrelate, and I mean, it's a book for our times. So yes, I mean, for people who buy the book, it's a place to go and network with other people anonymously. You get to set up your own profile. I think we actually have a little bit of a clip that shows a bit inside of our private network.